Nigerians took to the polls last month, one of the most contested in that country's history. The ruling party candidate, Bola Tinubu, won 8.8 million votes against 6.9 million for opposition People's Democratic Party. That's the candidate Atiku Abubakar, and 6.1 million for the Labour Party's Peter Obi. Well, the two opposition parties have now gone to the courts to challenge these elections, and the results in particular claiming that there are irregularities that were found. And we are now joined by journalist David Hundeyin, and he speaks to us all the way from London. David, good morning to you, and thank you for your time. Are you aware of what some of these irregularities are that the two opposition leaders are arguing in court?
All right, so I've gone through the petition submitted by the Labour Party and Peter Obi. I haven't gone through that submitted by Atiku Abubakar and the PDP, but I'll be doing that later today. And the issues raised in that petition center around two issues, which are the process by which the purported election of Bola Tinubu was carried out, and the actual person of Bola Tinubu and his vice President Kashim Shetima. Now, what this petition seeks to establish is that, first of all, these two candidates, the presidential and vice presidential candidates of the All Progressives Congress, were in fact not qualified to run legally for the office that they ran for and were supposedly elected to. In Tinubu's case, because he had legal issues that were supposed to have barred him from being qualified to run for that office. So his involvement with drug trafficking in the U.S. in the early 1990s, and because he was basically caught and he was forced to forfeit almost $500,000 to the United States government. So that is cited in the petition. The fact that he committed perjury on his electoral declaration form is also mentioned in some manner on the petition. And then the fact that the vice presidential candidate, Kashim Shetima, while he was a vice presidential candidate, was also a senatorial candidate in Borno State at the same time, which is, not allowed under the 2022 Electoral Amendment Act. And then the process by which the election was carried out is also on trial here, because as you are aware, the many irregularities, such as the fact that the BVAS, that's the bimodal voter accreditation system, wasn't used the way it was supposed to be used according to the Electoral Amendment Act, such as the live transmission of results, which wasn't carried out. Yeah. And then also the fact that the tabulation of results threw up many irregularities, such as overvoting in many states. So where you had more votes than the total number of registered voters in those polling areas, that sort of thing. So these are the main issues around which this petition is hinged.
Yeah. David, Nigeria has conducted several elections before this one, and some of those, indeed, were also disputed, but they've not succeeded. So what chance is there that these elections will be nullified and started anew?
So if we're going strictly by historical precedents, chances aren't great. However, I'm not that close to the legal teams of both challengers, but from my reading of the situation, what I can see is that specifically with the Labour Party's petition, there's an attempt to force the judicial system, the Supreme Court, where this will almost inevitably get to face scrutiny globally, because where the drug trafficking indictments of Bola Tinubu is invoked, bearing in mind that this is something that took place in the U.S., and that potentially brings in scrutiny from the American press or from the global press. That the idea from my reading of the situation is to create a set of circumstances which the Nigerian judicial system is not used to, a type of scrutiny that it's not used to, so that the typical habits where instead of facing the substantial issues raised in legal processes, the Nigerian judicial system typically delivers this thing called justice by technicality, where side issues and legal technicalities are used to arrive at judgments which people sometimes even perceive as nonsensical. In this case, because of the unprecedented amount of scrutiny, that will force the judges to actually face the meat of the matter. Now, whether that strategy is actually going to work, nobody really knows for sure. But from my reading of the situation, that's what the attempt here is, to create a cauldron of scrutiny on the judges that are involved in this case.
David Hundeyin is a journalist, and he's a Nigerian journalist, but based in London. Thank you very much for your time.